Security will throw you out of the building, the newly appointed chief executive officer said without even looking up from her interactive tablet screen. She spoke with the total indifference of a person ordering a cheap cup of warm tea. I did not move a single inch. Instead, I held a simple paper folder containing enough digital evidence to utterly destroy her entire career. My name is Audrey, and for over a decade, I operated as an invisible force within this massive global shipping enterprise. My official title was Senior Director of Regulatory Compliance, which was basically corporate speak for keeping us out of federal prison. Under our legendary old founder, Arthur Sterling, we focused on quiet stability, honest practices, and absolute transparency. After Arthur passed away, the board of directors bypassed the traditional leadership track and hired Victoria, a flashy graduate with an expensive degree and a love for modern corporate buzzwords. Victoria cared nothing about actual logistics or shipping times. She arrived with a designer wardrobe and a massive team of young consultants who immediately began transforming our productive offices into chaotic workspaces. I watched this aggressive shift silently from my quiet corner office on the top floor. Victoria viewed me as an outdated piece of corporate furniture, completely unaware that my quiet nature was actually a tool for meticulous data collection. Within weeks, the quiet terminations began. The head of ground transport disappeared on a Friday, and a young consultant named Julian took over. Suddenly, critical financial transactions were bypassing my regulatory review desk entirely. Julian was approving mysterious invoices for offshore shell companies while ignoring basic safety protocols for moving hazardous materials. When I confronted Julian about these unverified vendors, he laughed and told me to ignore the rules. He warned me to get in line with their new vision or get replaced. I did not back down or search for another job. I closed my office door and began compiling a hidden digital ledger of every single skipped protocol and safety violation. Every bypass was time-stamped and digitally saved. They believed their executive titles gave them absolute power, but they forgot that a tall building collapses quickly if the foundation is compromised. They also did not understand the true power of the plastic identification card clipped to my hip. Years ago, after a major accounting scare, the old board secretly initiated Project Glasshouse. They gave me an encrypted badge that silently recorded environmental metadata and digital files whenever I entered secure executive meeting rooms or accessed private networks. By Thursday afternoon, my network logins were failing, and my business emails were getting locked out. They were clearly trying to frustrate me into resigning so they could avoid paying severance. On Friday morning, I received a meeting invitation from Victoria for a formal department review. I knew this was my scheduled execution, so I prepared my files. I swiped my special badge on the reader and entered the freezing conference room. Victoria was tapping her tablet screen while Robert, the nervous general counsel, stared silently at the mahogany table. I remained standing and placed my thin paper folder on the wood. Victoria instructed Robert to deliver the news without making any eye contact with me. Robert cleared his throat and explained that the company was eliminating my department to increase agility. Victoria added that they needed positive thinkers instead of traditional regulatory blocks who always said no. She offered me a tiny severance package on the condition that I sign a strict non-disclosure agreement, threatening to block my future unemployment claims if I refused. I calmly refused to sign the document. Victoria sighed dramatically and instructed Robert to call security to drag me out of the building. I unclipped my badge and slid it across the polished table toward Robert, telling him to inspect the red serial number on the back. Robert picked it up, and his face turned pale as ash. Robert whispered to Victoria that they had to stop the termination immediately. He explained to her that my badge carried executive-level clearance and functioned as a roving audit device. I confirmed that Project Glasshouse had been tracking their activities for 4 months, capturing every conversation about skipping customs declarations and paying off shipping inspectors. Victoria screamed that the recording was illegal, but I reminded her of the privacy waivers in her own contract. I explained that the entire database had already finished uploading to our independent auditing firm in Switzerland. The board chairman was likely reading the full report of their financial crimes and illegal transactions at that very moment. Her phone suddenly began buzzing with urgent calls from the chairman. Within minutes, Robert received an email stating that the board had placed Victoria on immediate administrative leave and revoked her system access. Julian walked into the room carrying a box of his things, having just been terminated for transferring proprietary data to his personal email accounts. To understand my actions, you must understand our history. 10 years ago, a corrupt manager caused a tragic warehouse collapse that cost 2 lives. Arthur Sterling was devastated and tasked me with being the independent conscience of this company. I promised him I would protect the workers, and I was not going to let Victoria ruin that legacy. Real security officers arrived and escorted Victoria out of the building in front of everyone. The board of directors later offered me a massive financial payout to retire quietly and delete the archives. I tore the check in half and told the chairman that I was staying to protect the employees from future corporate greed. Victoria eventually accepted a plea deal and received a lengthy prison sentence for financial fraud. Julian received probation after cooperating fully with the federal prosecutors. I was officially promoted to Chief Integrity Officer, a position that gives me a permanent seat at the table. The office is beautifully boring again, and our drivers are finally safe. Now, the employees know that we prioritize safety over short-term stock gains. I look out at the shipping yard every night and know we are doing honest work. If you enjoyed this journey of corporate justice, please subscribe to the channel and support our stories. The watchdog is always active, and we are staying right here.